Hey guys, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for coming back and being part of our channel. Please subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends. Let's have some more fun starting in the new year. So I hope everything went really well over the holiday season for you. We're back after a bit of a break. I was a little bit sick with a cold and flu, but all good to go. So today we're back with a three-part series. Today is going to be number one in our Schema Hacks series. Now, we're not going to be talking about schema every single time, but I wanted to kind of front load this topic because there's a lot to cover. There's a lot of inquiries and a lot of feedback that I receive on doing these types of things. So I thought I would start off the new year with some actionable, very easy to implement things that can make the difference when you are utilizing schema markup. So schema hacks, let's talk about the first one. These are going to be actually a series of three quick and easy schema hacks you can implement right now. Super easy to do. So number one is the GBP category hack. So we're going to take a look. This is a little bit over the shoulder as well. Today, we're going to have a look at a local business schema template and something you can do that will greatly increase the relevancy and also bring in the synergy between what you're doing in schema and what you have declared to Google in your Google business profile in terms of categories. So let me just reduce my window down. Let's have a look at a just a very uh, just a sample schema template, although this is much more robust than you might be used to with things like plugins. But uh, when we utilize things like local business, as I've explained before, we want to be more specific wherever we can. So you don't just ideally you don't just want to be using local business as the generic sort of vanilla version of this type of template. There are better ways to do this. And when you're on schema.org and you're looking at the local business designation and the criteria, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, and a lot of these template examples have this, but local business especially, you want to look at the more specific types. So if you have a particular business that aligns with one of these definitions, then I would be very um, it would be very conducive to be utilizing a more specific type that matches one of these. So for instance, if you have an auto repair client, rather than using local business, it generally makes more sense to use automotive business. And of course, you're going to use this in the way that they've spelled it. So capital A, capital B. But if you click any one of these subcategories, often, again, when you scroll down to the bottom, often you'll get an even more specific type. So if it's an automotive business, but if it's a gas station, then gas station would be more appropriate. If it's a motorcycle repair shop, they don't do anything but motorbikes, then motorcycle repair would be a better one to use. Same thing with auto body. If it's like a collision repair rather than a general auto repair, then auto body shop it would be a good one to use. And same with like a car wash where they call it auto wash. You get the idea. But given that, so that would be your primary category. Okay. So in this example, we have, because this is an example of an automotive repair shop, we have used in the at type automotive business. But what happens if you want to further define this? And let's say there might be two categories that are very particular and very well aligned with what might be happening here. Maybe it's an automotive repair, but they also are a gas station, or they also are an auto dealer. Let's say if it's a big dealership, but also they have a repair department. Now, there are different ways to handle that where you might have a subsection of schema that talks about the auto body shop or the auto repair division as a department of the larger organization. But for this example, what I'm talking about specifically is how to integrate additional categories. So we have our automotive business as the primary, and what we're going to do is we're going to go and look at a sample automotive repair company, just something local. And we'll get some ideas in terms of what might be more appropriate to expand our relevance, or expand our entity relevance in terms of what we're, declaring to Google and what we've already declared to Google as our designation within the Google Business Profile. So just because I know these guys exist locally to me, Chilliwack Pro Auto Care, so they have their primary category as auto repair shop. I have an extension here that is supposed to be popping up some additional information, but you get the idea. So if we were to also look at the page source, there's ways to see some additional categories. So if I do a Control F, auto repair shop, this is a way that you can search for some additional categories. So you can see they're usually multiple. So they've got auto repair shop as their primary, but they've also got auto electrical service, auto radiator repair service, car battery store, car repair and maintenance service, and mechanic, oil change, transmission shop, truck repair, vehicle inspection, and that's it. So if we look on the list in schema.org in terms of automotive business and auto repair, so let's just say auto repair. Let's see if so that's kind of the end of that. So as you can see with verified categories, oh, here it goes. Here it's finally popped up. So verified categories that are already present in the GBP. What I like to do is I like to choose one or two extra, which help to further define the entity, but align with what we're doing here. So it's not always the first 1, 2, and 3. In this case, we're looking at, and this is where using things like the Google Natural Language API can help you determine things like salient scores and how Google views your entity and how relevant it is to these particular topics. Because it's one thing to declare them here, but it's another thing to have Google actually make those connections. And that's of course what we're trying to do and enhance with the use of schema. So I will choose a few things here, like for instance, car repair and maintenance service might be a good one. Mechanic would be a good one. Maybe something like vehicle inspection service, perhaps, but let's just keep it simple. I tend to limit this to a maximum of 3 because I don't want to be spammy, and I don't think it's necessary to have a whole host of categories in your schema in this particular section I'm going to show you. But let's just choose 1 so I can show you how to actually do the category hack. And then I'll leave it to your discretion. If it makes sense for your particular business to have an additional 1 or 2, or even just to leave it at the single category, but better defined. You're not using local business, you're using something that actually aligns better in the list, something like one of these. So what we do is we use something that's called an array. An array is something that in code allows you to define multiple values. So in the at type where this declaration is made, the way to change this from a single value to multiple values is by using square brackets. So on your keyboard, you're going to add a left-hand square bracket. You'll leave the first category in brackets and you'll leave it with the comma on the end, but we're going to add a second value. So like I said, we're going to utilize one of these other ones. Let's just use mechanic, for instance. Okay. And I'm in the rich results test. So for anyone that doesn't know what that is the structured data testing tool. Basically on Google Search Central, they give you 2 versions. I'm using the rich results test. On the older schema markup validator, this will actually generate an error. but just you don't worry about that. Um, the rich results test is the official tool. This is something that was older. I still actually quite like it just because I find it easier to edit. Um, but for this demonstration, we're using the rich results test. So the URL for that is search.google.com/test/rich-results. And you click on code, paste your code, and then that's where this page comes out. And it'll tell you, so remember what this is doing is it's testing your code to tell you what type of rich results you can qualify for in search. The other tool, the other half of the one that I just showed you, is more of a overall code validator. Like, is this going to validate? Are there any errors? But like I said, this is the one that we're using for this particular purpose, and this will not generate errors, what I'm about to show you. So we have our array started. We have our first value, and we're now going to enter our second value. So that was mechanic. So closing quotes, and then square bracket, and then you must put a comma on the end. You can see without the comma, you can see that a lot of these bold headlines disappear. That actually is an indication to me that this code will not validate because there's no separation between these values. So you must have that comma. And then what will happen now is we now have two values. So we're going to run the test and let this test the code. So within this template, you can see it's picked up a few things. It's got local business, it's got organization, because organization is part of some other values here, like department, founding date, founder, etc. So we're not going to worry about that right now, but under local business, okay, so it's picked up the name right here. We're going to click on this further, and now you can see under the type, it has validated both the automotive business and our additional category. Okay. Now, one other thing I would recommend is if you are adding these categories, also under additional type, have some other authoritative references to these categories. So we have auto repair shop, we have auto mechanic. So we've kind of covered this. But let's say you want to add a third value. So you're just going to do this again inside the array. Let's say that we're going to use one of the other categories, like for instance, how about transmission shop, just as an example, okay? Transmission shop, and then close it. Make sure you have all the little bits and pieces. If you don't have that, it'll generate an error. It'll generally tell you where the error is. Sometimes it's not as descriptive as to what exactly that is, but as you get experience looking at code and doing all this sort of stuff, that's why I like to do a lot of this manually, because then I'm able to troubleshoot and understand exactly what's going on rather than just having a plugin generate it all and not really knowing what's going on under the hood. So let's run the test again, and we'll see that this will now pick up the third value in the at type. So local business, John's Repair, automotive business, mechanic, transmission shop. So that is a very easy and meaningful addition or hack, if you will, that you can do with your own schema implementations. I invite you to do these types of things because this will increase the relevance. It'll increase the correlation between the category, the entity, and also the Google Business Profile. So thank you so much, guys. We'll be back with part 2 and part 3. Part 2 is going to be the drive image hack, and part 3 is going to be the RSS hack. I think you're going to really enjoy those. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon.